Well, welcome back to the Drive to Dayton Season 2, Episode 12, the tournament edition of the Drive to Dayton. We got our full cast of characters back this week, ready for a six-man tag. We got our three. Whoever wants some of this, get your three. We're ready to go, man. After a rough week around for pretty much all of us last week, we are back in full effect this week, gentlemen, and we are going to kick this show off with a topic that, for Ohio's sake, kind of broke the internet this past week. And, I was in the mix as well with, I threw my 2 cents in there as well. But gentlemen, let's start with this today. TJ, I'll get your thoughts first. Your general thoughts on the news now that we will be going to 7 divisions officially in basketball next year.
I mean, like we said back in whenever that was, November, that, we kind of all knew behind the scenes that this was on the way. Whether it was going to be 6 or 7, we knew that the board was looking at some sort of expansion in Ohio. And, oh, man, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm sure you kind of caught some of the rant that I was on the other day. Quite frankly, man, we made our district picks this week, so we were looking through each and every district, D1 through D4, picking our district winners. And my God, some of these regions, some of these districts are bad. There just aren't many good teams. Yeah. Now we're going to water that down and turn 4 into 7. And to be honest, we all know why they're doing this, right? You get a lot of schools, a lot of people upset at the Lutheran East of the world, the Richmond Heights of the world. Well, guess what? Now, if you add 7 divisions, more of those schools are going to keep winning. You're telling me Garfield Heights isn't going to sweep in Division 2? Lutheran East in 5, Richmond Heights in 6, St. Ignatius and Mollers of the world in 1? What is this solve, guys? All of this could have been prevented if competitive balance worked. If there was some sort of effective competitive balance system that was in play, we wouldn't have to be dealing with this. You tell me a system where Akron, St. Vincent, St. Mary goes to the Division I state championship, they lose to Moeller. The very next year, they jump back down to Division II. And what world are we living in? What is going on?
Roth, I think you had a great comment. I don't remember who you were replying to, but it was something, and help me out here. It was something to the effect of basically changing everything for a select few, and I'm paraphrasing here. But what was it exactly you said?
I said that we're changing the rules for the many when the rules only had to be adjusted for the few. It was in response to TJ's tweet, just talking about how there aren't enough quality teams to award 7 state champions. I don't think Ohio has 28 teams for their school size that need to make a Final Four. I think that if you just solve the problem in Division 4, you get Richmond Heights out of there. You get Lutheran East, Harvest Prep out of Division 3. I think you would see more competitive games. And if you just take Richmond Heights out of Division 4, we've mentioned this extensively. Look at that Division 4 playoffs. You've got Berlin Highland, you've got Warren JFK, Delphos St. John, Toledo Christian, Lima Central Catholic, Russia, Troy Christian. You've got a lot of really, really good teams. I don't think we needed to make a Division 6 and a Division 7 for these schools. We just needed to get Richmond Heights out of there. Like TJ said, if competitive balance worked And we had, and I think that your Richmond Heights and Lutheran East and Lutheran West would enjoy playing the best of the best. A lot of the teams they want to play the best teams in the regular season. They challenge themselves. You look at in Pennsylvania when Kennedy Catholic had an issue. They were dominating the small school section of the Pennsylvania state playoffs. Once they were given the option, they went up and they competed against the big boys. And then another thing that I don't believe it fixes, when I looked class by class, the biggest teams in Division 2, 3, and 4 are not the best. The biggest Division 2 schools are Bowling Green, Mount Healthy, Whitehall, Harvey, Mansfield Senior, Bellbrook, New Philadelphia, Revere, Tiffin Columbian, Hamilton Township, Tri-Valley, and Miami Trace. Like in Division 3, it's Fairless, Lakeview, Norwood, Valley View, Horizon Science, Chagrin Falls, Grennan, Columbus Academy, Otsego, Keystone, Westfall, Madison Senior, and Clearview.
No title contenders amongst those teams.
No. So as long as we got Lutheran East out of Division 3, you could take the smallest team in Division 3 versus the biggest team in Division 3, and it's a very level playing field. Mm-hmm. I think that I personally disagreed with the suggestion of going to 5 divisions, but I at least understood where those who wanted to make Division 1 smaller were coming from. I think that argument actually held some merit. Even though I wouldn't have done it, I think it made sense. I think that jumping from 4 to 7 is just going to add more blowouts. It doesn't solve anything, like TJ says. You still have Lutheran East is still going to win Division 5. Richmond Heights will still probably win Division 6. It doesn't solve the underlying issues. And I think there's going to be more blowouts. Teams are probably going to have to travel further to play these games, especially in Division 1. If you're from Northwest Ohio, you're traveling at minimum 2 hours. So
there were only two Northwest Ohio teams that would be included in the new Division 1?
I think 3. I think it was Whitmer, Findlay, and Perrysburg were the only 3.
Yeah.
So
I think just a couple thoughts from my end. All this stuff is they're trying to duplicate football, and I just think you're comparing apples to oranges there. I mean, there's still blowouts in football in Ohio. I mean, you look at some of these state semifinal games. I mean, just absolute massacres. I mean, state final games, absolute massacres. But as a totality, Ohio has more quality individual football players, than basketball. I mean, it's a much more rich football state in terms of talent. But when you're starting to spread it out in basketball like that, I mean, it's just kind of crazy. And at the end of the day, I was lamenting about this. There's just something special about making the Final Four and getting to play. For years it was in Columbus. Getting to play in that venue at least one time. And the coolest part is like, my alma mater made it down there in 2012 and just absolutely got boat raced. But I can tell you this. When you go back and talk to those guys, like, yeah, sure, would they have liked to been more competitive? Yes. But those kids in that community will never forget that trip to the Final Four. And it wasn't about the game day. It was about the days leading up at school and the pep rallies and and the community, and everybody's behind you. But when you're going to do it this way, I mean, St. Clairsville would have been playing their state semifinal game, who knows where. and they wouldn't have got to play in front of the entire state. Now, maybe they would have liked to have had that one back and played that in front of maybe 200. But still, you know what I mean. Like, it's just different. Like than when, I know the guys at some of the guys in Northwest Ohio were talking about, well, the semifinals could still be great at BG. Yeah, the districts are great there. The regionals are great there. But give those kids, like, most people aren't going to drive 3 or 4 hours to Bowling Green to go experience Cam Elwer. Now, if he's coming to the state tournament, they're going to see him play because they're going to go there. They're going to make that a once-a-year trip. But it's just, it stinks. It stinks, and I know you guys in Northeast Ohio, they'll mess it up. There'll be, state semifinal games all over they'll be playing them in Lake Erie. They might try that out, play on a ship in Lake Erie. I don't know. But it's
Putin Bay, baby.
It's just crazy, man. It really is. And listen,
the Final Four experience is just completely ruined now.
Yeah, that's why they call it the Final Four.
Yeah, I'm not saying you can't get good experiences or environments at these regional sites, but it's just not the same.
It's not.
Playing a Final Four game in your backyard is it takes away that feeling.
Your community getting to travel, with you to the state. It's a once in a lifetime experience. I mean, like, listen, this year, in the college basketball Final Four, like the semifinal games are in Phoenix, and they're not going to say, hey, why don't you guys play those games in Colorado, and then you can meet us down here at Phoenix for the championship game. That's why they call it the Final Four. That's what you play for, is to get to the Final Four. Football we didn't need to stop with everything has to be like football. It's completely different. You play, like, okay, these teams might have to travel, but it's once a week. Everybody knows when it is. It's on a Friday or Saturday night, the playoff games. And it's so easy from a logistics standpoint, to know that it's going to be played on Friday or Saturday. Basketball, you can be making 2 trips in 1 week, an hour and a half, 2 hours. You're playing your semifinal game in the sectional, and in the final game in the sectional, you could be 2 trips in 3 days to play a sectional game.
Yeah, it's also kind of frustrating because a lot of the top players, like, they want to compete. They don't want like a watered down tournament, which I think, especially you look at Division II, that doesn't look like a very strong tournament. And also you're going to be separating some longtime rivals. Why are Moeller and Elder in different divisions? Why is St. Ignatius and Garfield Heights in different divisions? Like, these are classic big games, schools that have a ton of history and tradition of playing against each other in the playoffs. And I think if there's anything that we've learned from this year, where do you see the games that have the best crowd environments? They're usually hyper-local matchups. Your Moeller Elder, your Pick Central versus Pickerington North, your Reynoldsburg versus Pick Central, your Olentangy Orange versus Olentangy Liberty games, your Toledo Whitmer versus Toledo St. John's type environments. And I just think we get less of those games with this change, whether it's by different division sizes. And then finally, it sounds like we're not going to get the same district final days that I know me and TJ love. The Columbus and Cincinnati district final days. You get the 4 district finals. They play them at a college environment. It's awesome. I really have no idea how that's going to look in the new system. It won't be the same at all. So I'll be curious how that plays out as well. So I'm going to enjoy this season. This year's district final Saturday and Sunday is going to be a memorable one for me. I can guarantee you that.
I think you guys would probably both agree. I mean, district final Saturday is the best high school basketball day of the year. I mean, you can't even keep up with it. It's like scores are coming in like crazy, and it's the day when you're like, oh my gosh, can you believe they got beat?
You're checking your phone at the end of every quarter. The game.
Yeah.
People are texting you, calling you. It's like, and another thing, I was talking to Matt Gould about this a little bit ago. So the AP poll, right? Currently with 4 divisions, you have both boys and girls. The same voters vote for both, boys and girls. So based on what I see and what I hear, the amount of voters and writers that actually do their due diligence and check on records and see which teams have beaten who, they don't even have accurate records half the time. So we get this half-ass AP poll because people don't put in the time or the effort to actually make it credible. So now we're taking those 4 divisions, and now those guys have to vote on 7 divisions?
It's a lot of teams.
That's
a lot of teams, man.
That's going to be almost 10%, or you'll have 70 teams ranked in the top 10. That would be almost 10% of the state is going to be ranked top 10 in their division. Ugh, that makes me.
Yeah, it's brutal, and it's going to be so impossible to keep up with for these first few years.
Yeah.
Trying to
have no clue who's in Division 3 and 4.
Yeah, and when I looked at the breakdown of those divisions, only 2 of them are going to be competitive. That's it.
Division 7 will.
I think it was like Division 4 and Division 7 were the 2 that I looked at, and I said, okay, there's really no clear 2 or 3 teams that would win this.
Yep.
The other 5 divisions, you knew exactly who was going to. What are we doing? And it just shows you how just out of touch these guys are. Somebody was quoted to say that they think this is going to make things more competitive and that there will be less blowouts. It's like, what are you watching? What games are you guys in? What gyms are you in? You have guys that are so out of touch. The majority of those dudes that make these decisions, they probably don't even see a high school game until the state tournament.
Right.
I'm all over the state. I never run into these guys. I don't see them at games. I don't see their updates or tweets or anything. What are you guys doing?
And Stubbs, I know you
guys have no clue. And I'm not saying I'm the end all be all, but hell, I put the time in. I sacrificed so much of my life to do some of this stuff.
Fantastic line.
Where are you guys at? Text me, tweet me, let me know what gyms you guys are in. Let me know which high school coaches you know.
Yeah.
Some of these guys don't even have relationships with high school coaches that they're making these decisions for.
Right.
What the hell is going on?
Epic.
It blows my mind.
Epic.
Stubbs, I know you occasionally like to tease me and TJ saying that we're 1%ers of the high school basketball fans, which we do see the top 1% of teams. But me and TJ collectively will each see about 20% of the state in person. So I feel like we have a very, very good read on the overall strength of teams throughout the state. Like, we know what a good D4 team looks like, a good D3 team looks like. Like, we know what some of these smaller public schools look like. Like, I've seen 175 teams in person already this year. Like, we're not just watching Moeller and Reynoldsburg and St. Ignatius and Garfield every weekend. Like, I went out this weekend, and we'll get to it in the recap. I'm at McNicholas versus Bishop Fenwick. I'm at Ottawa Glandorf versus Lexington. Like, we see, I think we have a good sense of what different sorts of teams look like and what success means for different teams. And not every team is going to be able to compete for a state title. Even at 7 divisions, a lot of teams aren't going to come close to competing, and that's okay. My school, when I played, we were never competing for a state title. I mean, there was nothing wrong with it. We set school records. Like, we did all that stuff. none of us are like, man, if we had 7 divisions, what could have been? Would have moved to like lose to Lutheran East instead of losing to Bay. Same thing.
Well, with that being said, let's let's jump into Roth. You had mentioned, our recap. Why don't you go ahead and recap your week that was?
Yeah, so I spent Monday and Tuesday in Louisville and then spent the weekend in Ohio. On Friday night, I saw Bishop Reedy against Whitehall conference matchup. I thought that Reedy's guard duo of Micah Germany and Andreas Gordon really stood out. Germany's taken a big step as a shooter since I saw him in the summer. He looks more poised with the ball in his hands. Bishop Reedy runs a really excellent offensive system. We obviously talked about them a ton last season when they had their senior trio that's all playing at the college level. But their team this year, they still share the ball. They have shooters, and they just play the game the right way. That's something that definitely translated from last year to this year. They're just a fun team to watch. So it was good to see them get the victory. I then went to a GCL co-ed conference rivalry game. Went into overtime the first time. McNicholas got Fenwick, but then on their home court, Fenwick gets revenge on McNicholas. It was a competitive game throughout. I thought Bailey Temming was very intriguing. He had 13 points, 12 rebounds, 5 blocks. He's putting up really big-time numbers this season, leading the conference in both rebounds and block shots. He's 6'10", he moves his feet well, he can make capable decisions as a passer. Still figuring some things out in terms of physicality, finishing at the rim, but he's a kid with a lot of upside, one of the better unsigned seniors in the state of Ohio. And then Saturday night, I drove up to Lexington, and I saw the best crowd I've been to all season was at Lexington. They have a brand new high school. It's in its second year, brand new gym as well, and they packed around 2,000 people into this gym for Lexington versus Ottawa Glandorf, two public schools who brought the whole towns out pretty much, and they brought the energy. It was an absolute blast to be in a playoff environment. It felt like a district championship game, and seniors Colin White and Caden Erford, they led the charge. White made some really clutch drives, finishes with 2 feet at the rim, showed his touch, and he even had a left-handed dunk off his right foot, something that you hardly ever see a right-handed athletes be able to do. I don't think people realize how hard it is to jump off your opposite foot and still dunk. That was my highlight of the game. And then on the Lexington side, this is a school that's going to be back again. They start 3 sophomores. Braden Fogel, the guy who gets all the headlines, he's one of the toughest guys to stop at the rim with his strength, his coordination, ability to get to his left hand and finish with his left hand. And then point guard transfer Seven Allen was very impressive as well. He stands at about 5'9", but he's quick, makes shots from the perimeter, pressures defensively. And Lexington also starts, I forget his name, but he's their quarterback on the gridiron. He's also a sophomore who starts. So this is a group that has a chance to, they're in a tough district this year with Shelby and a couple other teams that we'll talk about later. But this is a group that I think you'll see competing for regional titles this season, next season, and in 2025, 2026 when they're all seniors. So a fun weekend for me, seeing some pretty solid teams, and 5 of these 6 teams was my first time I got to see them all year. So continually checking out new teams and new players.
Yeah, the kid you're talking about, is that the Caudill kid, the quarterback?
I forget his name, but he's 6'3", physical, good build.
Yeah. TJ, you were in a couple of different spots this weekend.
Yeah, so I made a weekend trip down to Central Ohio. Similar to Roth, I wanted to cross some new teams off my list. So Friday night, I went to New Albany at Westerville Central. It was senior night for Westerville Central, and New Albany kind of crashed the party. New Albany, a team you're going to hear a little bit more about later in the show. but I believe they haven't lost a game since like December 28th, maybe. So I mean, Coach Casey and his staff have got that team absolutely rolling right now. I thought they were so sound on the defensive end. I mean, it was a bit of a clunky game, but man, Westerville Central had to earn everything they got. They only had 1 point in the first quarter with 5 seconds to go. I believe Dallas Tucker hit like a tough, three at the buzzer. But yeah, they had scored 1 point in 7 minutes. And I just credit to New Albany and how physical and disciplined they were on that end of the floor. Sophomore Marco Matucci, a kid who we've talked about kind of in the group chat throughout the year. I just like young guys that play with the sense of urgency. And that kid was making plays on both ends of the floor, whether it was getting deflections and 50-50s and hitting open threes, and, he was vocal. So that New Albany team, man, that is a team that I would absolutely keep an eye on, a team that is more than capable of winning a district and making some noise just because of how they play. So that's where I was at Friday. Saturday afternoon, I saw the Columbus City League Championship game, which if any of you guys have been following, there was a bit of discussion and debate. So Northland and Linden McKinley tied in the Columbus, North Division of the City League. So they have this 1800s tiebreaker that they, quite honestly, they need to just get rid of it. But both Northland and Linden only had one loss. So how they decide it is not by points or margin of victory or anything like that. They take whichever team hasn't been to the City League Championship in the longest, right? So since Northland won it last year and Linden hasn't been in, since, I don't know when Linden made it, but since Northland made it before they did, Linden gets the nod. But Linden, unfortunately, had 22 games already on their schedule, right? There was apparently they've had 5 athletic directors since the end of last year. So, they were trying to see if there was some wiggle room. Unfortunately, there was not. So Northland got the nod. In a game that was, you could tell the kids were a little bit nervous in the beginning. Sophomore King Kendrick just dominated. He's a kid who gets a lot of buzz on social media just because of his unique ambidextrous skill set. But man, he probably turned in one of the better games that I've seen him have. Just made a variety of high difficulty shots. And I just like the way that young man carries himself. High character, he's got a swagger and just like a leadership qualities to him. Big time kid, made big time plays. Northland was able to repeat as City League champs. I grabbed a quick lunch and then hit the road. I went up to Canton for the last play-by-play classic of the year, where you saw Huntington Prep take down Richmond Heights in the first game. And then the second game, which was really fun, had a great pace to it, was Louisville and Lutheran East, two teams that we probably talked about as much, if not more than anybody else this season. And Louisville, I believe, turned in probably the best game they've played all year. Senior Hayden Nigro finished with a game-high 31 points. He was incredibly efficient. He's a kid we'll talk about later on in the show as well. I thought one of the keys to that was Braden Gross from Louisville was able to kind of pull Jason McCullough away from the rim and allowed some of those other guards on Louisville to get downhill and go make some plays. But Louisville just, that day was the tougher and, the better team. But Lutheran East made it competitive, especially in the second half. But yeah, it was a big time game. Nice way to kind of end the regular season for me. I highly doubt I get out anywhere this week. Maybe Friday I'll try and go somewhere and catch some new teams. But Roth mentioned it earlier, man. Like, this just feels like the last week of school. It's like that week. It's just like, what are we doing here? There's no work. There's no lessons. We've already finished our projects. Like, what are we doing here? So that's kind of the sense I'm getting. Maybe I'll go check some college games out this week, but it will definitely be a light slate for me on the high school basketball front. So
I like that you liked my last week of school reference on here. I think
solid.
Credit, Ron.
I think I'm going to go to a college game and
TJ, that New Albany team you mentioned, last loss was December 22nd to Gahanna. Wow. They've won 15 straight. To Tim Casey, first year at New Albany, doing what he does.
And no offense to Upper Arlington, but I have no idea how you let that guy go. Yeah. Actually, I do mean that with offense. Yeah. How do you, what's going on?
TJ's got a lot of questions tonight.
What the hell is going on?
Yeah, he's got a lot of questions tonight.
Just a common theme for this week. But, yeah, Coach Casey is unbelievable. Yeah. It's definitely refreshing just watching that team play. They kept the game simple. Guys played within themselves. And, yeah, I've talked about it before, but I am super intrigued by this Division I Central Ohio district, just the whole region in general. And unfortunately, it's probably going to be the last time I feel this way. It's not going to be much to write home about these next few years. So,
let's look at we had a lot of milestones this past week, and I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on something after I run through these. Let's start with the coaches. Keith Gunther of Youngstown Ursuline got his number 300. Casey Palmero from Youngstown Mooney wins his 100th game by beating Cheney. Todd Johnson of Columbiana, 100 wins. Brett Norris at Bradley. This was his 200th win at Bradley. Of course, he won a state championship at Delphi St. John's. I believe he was at Hilliard Darby as well. But this was his 200th win at Bradley. So pretty impressive stuff there. Kyle Miller down at Piketon, he got his 100th win, and Brett Larrick, a really good basketball coach at Elyria, gets win number 200.
And just a good dude too, man. Shout out to Coach Brett Larrick, man. I think it's time we give more flowers to the good people. I was talking to a college coach the other day, and speaking of asking questions, he asked me, man, he was like, why aren't there more normal people in basketball? And I said, man, that is a great question. Coach Larrick, man, one of the good guys, one of the last few left. Congrats on your 200th win, brother.
On the player front, Max Bosley becomes Wadsworth all-time leading scorer. Max is the son of Jamie Bosley, who is, in my opinion, he's the best player to ever put the purple and gold on at Massillon Jackson. Over 2,000 points, went to Ohio State, finished up with a great career at Akron. With all due respect to, Kyle Young and Mark Henniger and Josh Egner and Pallotta. They've had Brad DuPont. They've had so many really good players at Jackson, but Bosley, I think if you ask most people, would say he was the best. And his son becomes Wadsworth all-time leading scorer. So congratulations to Max.
Against Massillon Jackson, against his dad's school.
That is correct.
That's who he broke the record against.
Tyson Pastor of St. Clairsville becomes the second Red Devil to go over 1,000 this season, within the last month. Blake Lawson of Carlisle goes over 1,000. Ja'Cory Lipkins, Canton Glen Oak, 1,000. Asa Geilinger from Barnesville, 1,000. Caden Cruz, who's a kid I've heard a lot about from Napoleon, went over 1,000. On the college front, Raheem Moss at Toledo. He was one of our alumni spotlight player of the week a couple weeks ago. He goes over 1,000 at Toledo. Arness Lawson, Pickerington North. Only the second player in school history to go over 1,000, joining Jerome Hunter back in 2018. He's going to shatter, I think Hunter's record's 1346, something like that. He's going to shatter that. Lawson's got another year left. Jesse Burris at 1528, Delaware Hayes all-time leading scorer. Cruz McClure, this is really cool. He is the first junior at Westerville South to reach 1,000 points. And they've had some really good players there.
That's surprising to me. But I think the fact that they've had so many really good players over the years
distributing those points out, man.
Yeah, it's tough. So it shocked me at first, and then the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. So
yeah, in my mind, I was thinking Caleb Wesson never did that, but I mean, Caleb played with so many good players that were scoring. You know, the points were spread out. So Chase Allen of Proctorville Fairland goes over 1,000. Tanner Holden, Wright State, Ohio State, Wright State, 2,000 points for him, the Wheelersburg grad. Briley Kramer of Circleville becomes their all-time leading scorer at 1,266. And Quinn Kwasniak.
hey,
man, I would have got torched if I'd have forgot that one. 2K. Quinn Kwasniak with 2K, and he is only a junior. So, you know, that 3-point record is probably, if he stays healthy, that thing's probably going to crumble. You know, he's got a shot. You know, I don't know how far they're going to make it in the tournament, but, you know.
He's already second all time in the OHSAA in 3-point field goals made. I believe he's made at least 3 per game every game this season, which is just kind of like absurd. And he's going to have a chance at 3,000 points. I don't know where Luke Kennard and, you know, some of those guys finished up with, but I can't tell you the last time I even heard of a kid with a chance to get 3,000 points in high school. So
yeah, there's only 2 in Ohio, John Diebler and then Zach Rasile. Did it, and McDonald kind of flew under the radar doing that, you know, just because they weren't like winning at the level that Kennard and Diebler, you know, did, but having a nice career at West Liberty nonetheless. But
and Rasile and Kwasniak kind of on very similar paths. You know, both at Division IV schools, and both kids just flat out shot it. Probably the 2 best high school shooters that I've seen in Ohio in the last 5 to 8 years. I think you'd be hard pressed to find another guy that could kind of match what either one of those guys do. So,
all right, let's jump into our players and team of the week. So, Roth, I'm just going to have you give me your player and team of the week, and then I'll go to TJ.
All right, I'll go quick. My player of the week is Juan Cranford Jr. from Huber Heights, Wayne. He had 31 points in a win over Centerville and was 5 of 7 from 3-point range. Wayne started off the year slow, but they have won 6 out of 7, building some momentum, getting ready for the playoffs. And then my team of the week is Massillon Jackson. They haven't lost since mid-March. They split the conference title with Uniontown Green, who was also the last team to beat them. Their 2025 duo of Kyle Monterubio and Mitch Finneyfrock have been crucial this season. They got a win over Wadsworth this week. We mentioned that earlier when Max Bosley became Wadsworth's all-time leading scorer. But Massillon Jackson, a group that shares the ball, they can all shoot it, and they're playing some really good basketball. So they're a team to keep an eye on in Division I in Northeast Ohio, potential district championship level team. So we'll see if anybody picks them to get out of their district. But they are the Polar Bears are my team of the week, a different purple and white team than we're used to spotlighting on here.
Yeah, with Massillon Jackson, I believe Cam Weekly is another junior for them, a kid who has led them in scoring this year, multiple games. So you're looking at a team, I believe the only starter they lose is Huline, you know, and he's a good high school player, going to take the football route. So yeah, Massillon Jackson, a team that's going to have a chance to go right back, you know, to the Federal League title next year. For my player of the week is the kid I mentioned earlier, Hayden Nigro out of Louisville. It seems like every time I go watch a Louisville game, Hayden Nigro just puts on an absolute show. I watched him go 30 plus against Akron Hoban, and then he went for 31 in a win over Lutheran East. According to what I had in my notes, I had him 12 of 16 from the floor and 2 of 3 from behind the 3-point line. Just incredibly efficient game. Just a kid who has made a significant jump, not only just in his production, but the talent has never been the issue with Hayden. It was also kind of more, you know, how he responded when things weren't going his way, or, you know, his body language and his effort. And I think he's made a drastic improvement on that front. and just a kid who has been really good for one of the better Division I teams in Northeast Ohio this year. My team of the week, I went with New Albany. Like I said, they haven't lost a game since December 22nd against Gahanna-Lincoln. 15 straight wins. And during that span, they've beaten Pick North twice, Dover, Pick Central, Westerville Central twice, and Grove City. They've knocked off a lot of district title contenders in Central Ohio. And, yeah, like we mentioned, man, shout out to Coach Casey and staff. Got a good group.
All right, I'll wrap us up here. Player of the week for me is J. Allen Barino. 20 points in a 56-49 win over Garaway, and then 22 points in the IVC championship game, the de facto championship game, a 59-52 win over Indian Valley. Malvern is your outright IVC champs. They are the only unbeaten team left in the state of Ohio. They play Buckeye Trail and at Hannibal River this week to try to complete the 22-0 season. My team of the week, they only played one game last week, but it was a spectacular performance from the Willard Flashes, who are another hot, 17-3. They beat Margaretta 77-39. Willard hit 15 threes in the first 26 minutes of this game. Max Dawson, who we've mentioned on this show many times, 25 points, 22 in the first half. Jackson Beamer with 17, Aiden Sloan and Isaac Robinson with 11 points apiece. So just a almost like out of body performance from Willard this past weekend. So Jalen Marino and the Willard Flashes, congratulations to you guys as well. All right, gentlemen, it's the time that everybody's been waiting for. Let me set this up for you. Last year's winner, Mr. TJ Petros, 39 W's last year, 64 districts for those of you that are counting. Yep, 39, 37 for me, and 36 for Roth. But I want to say, I do want to say this on Roth's behalf. Roth, there was a couple of districts where Roth kept it interesting, man. He went out on a limb.
Somebody has to be bold on here.
Yeah, he didn't
I'm
go.
not afraid to do it.
He didn't go chalk.
Someone's got to lose on here too, so you can keep doing that.
But we gotta appreciate that Roth didn't go chalk and that he kept the show interesting. But here's the goal this year, fellas. Somebody's got to hit the 4-0. Somebody in the last year of 64 districts, somebody's got to hit the 4-0 this year, which would put you at a 40-24 record. With TJ was only one off last year, so we're going for that 40 spot. We're going to start with the small fellows first. We'll go region. We'll just go down the list here. Region 13. First district we come to is Northwest 5, so they're kind of the oddball Northwest district. They get shipped off to Region 13. Here's the teams I wrote down, guys. Colonel Crawford, Mansfield, Christian, Norwalk, St. Paul, and in the bottom half you got Lucas and you got Seneca East. Roth, I'll start with you. Who is your pick in Northwest 5?
I'm going to go with the Lucas Cubs. This is a team that went unbeaten in their conference, sitting at 16-4. They've had success on both the football field and hardwood. Only loss losses this calendar year are to Willard and Colonel Crawford. I'll pick them to get revenge on Colonel Crawford in the district title game.
TJ, who you got in Northwest 5?
I went with Colonel Crawford. I think it's just a team that, we're accustomed to see winning those type of games. And the one thing I've learned my time doing this is that culture wins out. Teams that are used to playing in big games, teams that are used to making district titles and winning district titles in the years past, those teams typically tend to get it done more times than not. So I went with Colonel Crawford.
I'll wrap us up here. So we have a region or a district right off the start where we have nothing the same. I'm going to go with Seneca East. This is probably not going to go well. They've already beat Colonel Crawford twice, once by double digits. You know, the heck with that. It's hard to beat a team 3 times. Give me Seneca East. So Lucas, Colonel Crawford, Seneca East, the picks in Northwest 5. All right, so the rest of this region is the 77 Northeast districts. We'll start Northeast 2. Jeez, Northeast 2. So let me get some love here. So we got Richmond Heights. The bottom half, we got Lisbon, David Anderson, Louisville, St. Thomas Aquinas, Fairpoint Harding, and Vienna Matthews. Any takers on someone other than the Spartans?
Stubbs, did you intentionally leave off Cornerstone Christian?
Did I? I must have. Where?
In the corner, bottom corner, way down at the bottom.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
that.
My apologies. Cornerstone Christian also in Northeast 2.
I got Richmond Heights. Shocker.
Yeah, I mean, next district. I mean, I got Richmond Heights as well. So
Clean sweep for the Spartans. We don't really need to talk too much more about that. Northeast 3, man. I think this is where it maybe gets a little hairy. You got Mogador, East Canton, and Dayton up top, and then you got Lake Center Christian, Columbia, and New Middletown Springfield in the bottom. Roth, who are we going with?
East Canton, baby. Big man Caleb Schilling has had a strong season. He's got the size to be a matchup problem. I'm going with East Canton to get the district championship.
Okay, I like it. TJ?
I went with East Canton as well. Shout out to Coach Ryan over there, man. The guy who has paid his dues at different programs as an assistant and has kind of worked his way around Stark County and has kind of found himself a sweet spot at East Canton. So that's what I'm going with, baby.
Yeah.
Stark County.
I don't know if you guys mentioned this or not, so I apologize if I'm repeating myself. But, man, what a signature win for their program this past Saturday, beating Highland.
Yeah,
so that's a big-time win there for East Canton. I am going to go outside of East Canton, and I'm going to go with Mogador. I like this team. This team's playing really good basketball. They got the win over Warren JFK this year. They're really well coached year in and year out. Give me Mogador in Northeast 3. All right, Northeast 1, we've got Warren JFK and Hillsdale in the top. Badger, Kinsman Badger, and Bristolville Bristol in the bottom. Is anybody going anything other than JFK here?
No, rolling with the real Coach K, baby.
So am I. But I do love Bristolville Bristol. That's a strong city and high school name combo.
There's rumor that Coach K was on this podcast once.
The lost episode.
All right, gentlemen, let's bump down to Region 14. And to me, I was thinking of something today. I was looking over these districts, and I was like, outside of about 6 teams, the state tournament can be played in Northwest Ohio in Division 4. I mean, there's 6 teams from the other regions that you could definitely throw into the mix for sure. But, I mean, the depth in Region 14 is just unmatched. And let's start with one in the Elida district. How about if you're Delphos St. John's, man? They undefeated in the MAC, having a sensational year. And then these are the teams that are in your district. Miller City, Convoy Crestview, Pandora Gilboa, who we know is a really good team as well. And I know there's 2 other ones. Ottoville is also in there, and Parkway out of the MAC. I mean, this is just when you look at some of these other D4 districts, it's I don't want to say it's a joke, but it's a foregone conclusion who's going to win it.
Why did Northwest Ohio go to a super district and let these guys split themselves up?
They've been saying that. There's been a lot of guys, like Brayton Martin has been pushing for that for years.
Like, that's nuts.
I mean, that
especially when we get into Division II and we see the gap between one of the districts and the other two in Division II. It is dramatic.
Well, in this district here, if you're Delphus St. John's, like, there's two. You're probably going to have to play 2 games that are going to be absolute grinds. No matter, I mean, you think if you play Convoy Crestview, that game is not going to be like, 52-48. I mean, that's what it's going to be, and you're going to have to play 2 of those just to get out of the district.
There's a reason why I always attend the D4 regional semis at Bowling Green. It's a must visit for me every year. Been there the past 2 years. Plan on being there again. If you can make it out of district, Northwest Ohio D4, you've earned coverage from me. Get my eyes on those kids.
So who do we got here, gentlemen, in Northwest 2?
I went with Delphus St. John's. I just think that team has something different. They're playing with a certain level of moxie right now, and sophomore Cam Elber is on a tear, and I don't see that slowing down just because we're in the postseason. If anything, I think that kid's going to elevate his game. I think he's just one of those type of dudes, man. So he's cut from the cloth, as the kids like to say. So
I'm going with Pandora Gilboa. They already beat 3rd seed Ottoville by 23. They got a win over Bluffton in February. I'm going to take them. A decent-sized upset, but not a huge upset.
Yeah, this one, the only thing that worries me about Delphus St. John's is they're playing so well, and everything seems to be going their way. Like every close game, they need a big shot. I mean, that shot that Elwer hit the other night was stupid tough. If there was no defense on the floor, that's a ridiculously difficult shot. Especially that late in the game, which I'm sure he's, been running around like a maniac all night. And that's the only thing that scares me about that, especially against get up against Convoy Crestview, and if they make it into a half court grind and some of them big guys come into play. But I'm going to go with the best player. I think Delphus St. John's has got other good kids along with him. It's not just a one-man show. But I'm going to go with TJ here and ride with the best player. But I like Mike's pick, and I wouldn't be mad if anybody took Convoy Crestview either. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at that. All right, Northwest 1, we got Toledo Christian, Pettysville, Patrick Henry, and then in the bottom we've got Antwerp and Maumee Valley Country Day. Roth.
Oh, it's pronounced Pettysville?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I've been saying it Petitesville, I think.
Yeah.
Dude, I've been saying Pettysville for the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, Pettysville, I believe, is the proper pronunciation.
Good
Not bad, guys. I'm going with Toledo Christian to add insult to injury to the Petitesville community. But yeah, Toledo Christian is just playing exceptional basketball right now. They've got 3 seniors who can all score it. They got a junior, Carter Coaster, who's probably their most talented player. They share the ball well. They are my pick in this district, I think, going away.
I have Toledo Christian as well. Similar reasons as Rob said. I just think that team plays an exceptional brand of basketball. And it's one of the few teams in that district that I feel like I actually have somewhat of a grasp on. So I'm going to trust my gut. I'm going with Toledo Christian.
Yeah, I mean, Toledo Christian is, if not the hottest, one of the hottest teams in the state of Ohio. The one thing that would make me a little nervous if I'm Toledo Christian is Patrick Henry. From what I understand, Nash Meyer has been released to start playing again, and he was a big piece of what they did last year. Now, the two other kids that have been hurt this year, the Reed Krieger kid, the freshman who I heard is really, really good. His brother Lincoln is a junior. He is not; those two guys are not going to be. Reed Krieger and the other guy are not going to be back. But getting Nash Meyer back, and I don't know how quickly you can get him up to speed, but that would still be a really tough game to play in a district semis against Patrick Henry, who was in a regional last year. And then Toledo Christian, Maumee Valley Country Day. If that game comes to fruition, that would be the third time. That's the only team that's beat Toledo Christian. But I think, Toledo Christian has been stumped at this district level. I think this is the year they get over the hump, and we'll go clean sweep with Toledo Christian. All right, Northwest 3, Tiffin, Calvert, Old Fort, New Regal. Bottom, we have Hopewell, Loudon, Sycamore, Mohawk, and Arlington. TJ, where are you going here?
Oh, man, I felt like I was grasping at straws in this district. A district where there wasn't a single team in there that I've actually seen this year. So my gut just told me to go with Hopewell, Loudon. So that's where I'm going.
Yeah, I also went with Hopewell Loudon. They split with Tiffin Calvert this year, so a potential third meeting in the district title.
Yeah, Hopewell Loudon is on an 8-game winning streak, but another team that's on an 8-game winning streak in this district and has won 11 out of 12 is Arlington. Arlington beats Pandora Gilboa this year, which is, was enough for me to edge them out over Hopewell Loudon, Calvert, Old Fort. So give me Arlington out of this district, Jason Vermillion's squad. All right, final district in Region 14, LCC, New Bremen, St. Henry, Minster, and Marion Local. This is like the LCC plus Max special here. TJ, who do you got?
I went with the team that is probably near the top of my priority list in terms of teams that I want to see at some point during the postseason. I went with Lima Central Catholic in this one. I just think they've had some really big wins throughout the year. In the preseason, I probably would have told you Marion Local would have been my pick. That team has just kind of been having some unforeseen issues throughout the year. So I'm going to go with Lima Central Catholic. They have some really good guard play. Sophomore Willie Foster is a kid that I've heard about a ton in the last few weeks or so. So definitely a kid I'm hoping to get eyes on at some point. So I'm going to go with Lima Central Catholic. It's just what my gut's telling me to do.
I echo TJ's points. Hopefully I'll get to see LCC at BG.
Yeah. I'm going to go with LCC too. Marion Local, I feel like I've just been waiting on them all year, and it hasn't clicked. They're under 500. I mean, they're huge. But, I mean, at the end of the day, in the tournament, the game is won at the guard spot. And I just don't think Marion Local is good enough at the guard spot to beat LCC. LCC got a big win the other night at Lima Senior in overtime. That's a real nice win for them, and that's a big game for the city of Lima. All right, let's jump down to, oh boy, Region 15. Boy, this is something, as Roth would say. The East District, we've got Monroe Central, who suffered their first loss, Rosecrans, Steubenville Central, Highland, Strasburg, Toronto, Hannibal River, Shadyside. And again, ladies and gentlemen out there, I'm listing teams that are quality teams in the district. I'm not listing every team in the district. And if somebody that we don't mention wins the district, great. Who you guys got here? I'm pretty sure we're all going to be on the same page here.
Death, taxes, Berlin Highland.
Roth, are you on the Hawks? Are you soaring with the Hawks?
I am. I was a little surprised that more teams went to the bottom side of the bracket with Highland. Like you got the 3 seed in there, the 7 seed in there. Like you got a couple quality teams that decided to be paired up with Highland. So maybe teams in the East District aren't as scared of Highland as they usually are. I don't know. I'm still gonna roll with them, but it was something I took notice of. I figured you'd see River in the top, Toronto at the top, Shady Side at the top, but no, all in the bottom with Highland.
Yeah, I would just have a hard time taking Mason Lang's done a really good job in his first year as head coach of Monroe. Not taking him over Schleybaugh in a district final game. That's not going to happen. Give me Highland. Columbus 2. Yeah, this is special. Northside Christian Ridgedale, and then in the bottom I listed Galleon Northmore and Patriot Prep.
I went with Northside Christian, and I couldn't even begin to tell you why.
Sounds like a great pick, TJ.
I mean, I looked at that district and I was just completely kind of befuddled.
It's something.
It is absolutely something. So
I went with Galleon Northmore because they only lost to Colonel Crawford by 7. That's a quality loss.
Yeah, I went with Northmore also. I was tempted to take Patriot Prep. I don't know why, but I went with Northmore as well. All right, moving on.
This is what we're doing. We're taking this and we're stretching it out to 7 divisions.
Patriot Prep is going to get that district championship, man. All right, Southeast 2. South Webster, Sims Valley, Beaver Eastern, Portsmouth Notre Dame, and Gloucester Trimble.
South Webster, baby. Let's go.
Okay, Rob.
I went with South Webster as well. A team that I haven't gotten a chance to see in person, but I did catch one of their games online against Minford. A team that probably has the best player in the district with Eli Roberts. So I'm just going to go with South Webster.
Yeah. Portsmouth Notre Dame recently won at South Webster. I would say that probably wasn't a good thing long term. Give me South Webster if they play in a rematch. Southeast 1. We got Fairfield, Manchester, Fed Hawk, and Waterford. Roth, who do you got?
I'm going to go with Fed Hawk again. They got the senior duo of Tara Cottrell and Andrew Warehart. I think that they've got enough to get by Leesburg Fairfield.
TJ?
I'm going to just go the opposite to spite Roth, and I'm going with Leesburg Fairfield. That's my anti-Roth pick of this.
Did you put Fed Hawk in the Google Doc?
No, I didn't. I put Leesburg.
Okay. I didn't check your picks. I wasn't gonna.
I went with
that's what I'm going with.
Fairfield, or I went with Federal Hawking as well. I think they have the best player in this district. All right, Region 16. Another beauty here. Central 1. Fairfield Christian, Shekinah, I think that's correct, Christian, Fisher Catholic, Newark Catholic, and Columbus Tree of Life. Roth, who do you got?
I went with Fisher Catholic, and I couldn't tell you why. Maybe it's because I can pronounce the school.
This is something, man.
This is nasty work.
This Central Ohio is going to get 2 D4 teams in regional play. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I need somebody to pronounce my winner for me.
That's why I didn't pick him.
I went with Shekinah.
Shekinah.
Sounds like a Shakira song or something.
Yeah, Shekinah. Okay.
Shekinah. All right, let's go with that. Shekinah, Shekinah. I don't know.
All right. Yeah. Give me. I'll take Newark Catholic
I was thinking about them.
for fun.
And I mean, this next district, man, you know who I'm going with.
Yeah, give me Southwest 3. Are we Rushi across the board here?
My guys, man, the Rushi boys.
Yeah.
I love that team, man. I just do. I like that community. I like that those kids all play like every sport imaginable.
Yeah.
They just win and everything. Give me Rushi, baby.
Yeah, I'm going with Rushi as well. Southwest 1, Franklin Monroe. I'm guessing this is Miami Valley. Fort Laramie, Jackson Center, Legacy Christian, Lehman Catholic, and Botkins.
I'm going with Botkins, baby.
I'm gonna take Jackson Center. I think they probably have the best player in the district, so I'm gonna rely on him to carry them.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick there, Roth. I'm gonna stay. Botkins has been pretty consistent most of the year. Had a chance to play for the SCAL last week. I'm going to go with Botkins. And then our last district in Region 16 and also in Division 4, Cedarville, Troy Christian, Miami Valley Christian Academy, and Fayetteville Perry.
I'm going with Troy Christian, a team that I got to see against Ottawa Glandorf at the OG Winter Classic. And Coach Sawatsky, I hope I pronounced that right, but man, I just like the kind of energy that guy brought, man. Like when his team went on a run, he's on a run. He's off the bench. He's running out. That team just looked like they enjoyed playing with each other, and more importantly, looked like they enjoyed playing with him. Senior guard Parker Penrod is a kid who I've been really high on since the springtime. An Ohio Christian commit, and just a kid who has all the intangibles, not afraid of the moment, zero back down to him. I am going with Troy Christian.
All right, Troy Christian across the board. All right, so that is our Division 4 picks. Division 3, Region 9. Let's Lutheran East across the board here.
Yep. I can't believe what I'm about to say in this next pick.
Oh no.
Okay, so we've got Northeast 4, we got Fairview Park, Worcester Triway, Cuyahoga Heights, and Newton Falls are 4 notable teams in this district. TJ, are you gonna do it, man?
Give me the Fighting Ralphs, baby. Fairview.
All right, Roth.
That team's been on a roll ever since 2018. You know, after that one guy got the hell out of there, just holding it back.
Roth, you can't pick against them, right?
Oh yes, I can.
Okay.
We're gonna take the home team. We're preemptively making excuses. The refs are gonna be against us. Worcester Triway is gonna get done in their backyard.
Yeah, I went with Triway as well. Northeast 2, I just wrote down Mooney and South Range. I'm going to go with Mooney.
I'm going with Mooney as well. Got a chance to see them at the battle at the Berkey event over at Smithville. I just thought they played a really good brand of basketball. Senior guard Jabri Carter was pretty talented. They had another senior, I believe his last name was Reeves. I just like the way that team played. That's a big thing for me. It's just like, do I enjoy watching you play? And I can say Mooney was the team that checks that box for me.
Roth, did you go with Mooney?
Yeah,
okay.
Same one.
So we're Mooney across the board there. Northeast 1 seems like it's probably, to me, the toughest district to pick in this region. You got LeBray and Crestwood at 19-2. Canton Central Catholic, Pymatuning Valley, Campbell Memorial, Akron Manchester, Garfield Heights Trinity, and Mentor Lake Catholic, who's under 500, but also worth a mention here. TJ, who you rolling with here?
When things get wacky, you take Jakaki, baby. Give me Crestwood. Coach Jakaki, that's my guy, man. Salute. That's an absolute biased pick, but I'm going with Crestwood.
Okay.
I got the team from TJ's home. I got Canton Central Catholic. I just think that they got nice size. Going to be an interesting matchup with their strength of schedule, interior ability. So I went with them.
Prof, I'm not liking this. I'm agreeing with you too much here. I went with Canton Central Catholic as well.
Oh man, you know what happened when you two guys agreed last year?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
L2, baby.
All right, so that wraps up Region 9. Let's go to Region 10. Northwest 1, Margaretta, Ashland Crestview, Genoa, Millbury Lake, Oak Harbor, and Bucyrus Winford in Northwest 1.
Give me Margaretta, please.
Ditto.
Despite the bad loss to Willard, I just think that team is young and they've got something going. A team who's going to be one of the better Division 4 teams in the state next year, or Division 3 teams. So
Division 5.
Yeah, I believe whatever the hell they're going to be. But yeah, I believe they only have they have 2 sophomores, a junior, and 2 freshmen in the starting lineup. So they quite literally bring everybody back.
Yeah, that's probably the only thing that worries me about them is just the fact that they are that young.
Right.
And you get up against a team in the tournament that maybe, it might be hinging on their final game. So I would tend to agree with you guys here. I think an interesting team could be Genoa here. Ashland Crestview has obviously been really good most of the year, but I'm gonna join you guys here. I just think that they're the most talented team, but I would not be surprised if they don't win this district. But I am going to pick them. Central 1, Worthington Christian and Columbus Academy, 2 17-4s. Johnstown Northridge and Grove City Christian, also a pair of 16-win teams. Where are we going here with Central 1, guys?
I'm going with Worthington Christian.
I got Columbus Academy.
Mike's going with Columbus Academy, and Stubbs will also be going with Worthington Christian. All right. Northwest 2, we got Emmanuel Christian, 16-2. Archbold 18-2, Evergreen 14-4, Liberty Center 12-7, Eastwood 10-8, and Delta 11-6. I think I know where you guys are probably heading here.
Yep.
Yeah, I just think they're too talented, too athletic. I think they're just going to overwhelm a lot of those teams. Give me Toledo Emmanuel Christian. I'm assuming we're probably across the board on that one.
I'm going to go outside the box here, and I'm going to go with Liberty Center. They played Emmanuel Christian not too long ago. I think it was like an 8-point game. A real physical team. Football school, obviously, was a state runner-up in D6. But I think that the coach there has done a really good job of making basketball important at Liberty Center as well. And I'm gonna go out on a limb there with them in that Northwest 2. So give me Liberty Center. Northwest 3. This is brutal, gentlemen. 9 of the 12 teams in this district are above 500. So we got Ottawa, Glandorf, and Coldwater both at 16-3. Spencerville at 15-4. Wayne Trace at 16-3. Could you imagine if they still had Brooks Lockoff? Bluffton at 15-4, and Cary at 11-6. This is ridiculous. This Lima district is ridiculous.
Nuts. I'm going with OG. I think they're going to have to scratch and claw their way out of that one. I think it's going to be a bloodbath. But I will take Ottawa Glandorf just off of any team that Colin White's playing for, man. I don't care if it's tennis, foosball, Madden, 2024. Big Colin White, man.
I'm going to go specific. I'm going to go OG over Bluffton in the district title game. I think Bluffton makes it out of that loaded bottom half.
Yeah, I mean, I want to be the cool guy here and like say Spencerville or somebody, but Colin White's just that guy, man.
And the crazy thing is, I wouldn't be too shocked if OG did lose in this district. I mean, when
Water could give them a game.
Competitive games back to back. I mean, sectional final on is like, good luck.
Yeah, not only are you playing really good teams, you're playing really good like coaches. They aren't just gonna. I mean, they know OG is what they want to do, and they're gonna try their best to negate that. But to me, Colin White is he's that guy. And I don't see him letting them lose in the district, and I don't see him letting him lose in the regional either. But that's why they're going to play the games. All right, let's go to Region 11 here. Southeast 1, you got Wheelersburg. How about the job that they've done down there this year? 17-4. Portsmouth 15-6. McDermott Northwest, don't know a whole lot about them. 18-3. Eastern at 16-6, and a sneaky team, South Point, kind of been sleepy this year. 12-9, had some strange games. They've gotten blown out. A team that was in the regional final last year against Afrocentric. Where are you guys going here, Roth? Where are you going in Southeast 1?
You know what they say down by the Ohio River. Berg is the word.
Oh.
Give me Wheelersburg, baby. The Pirates.
All right, Ross going with the Berg.
I'm going Wheelersburg as well.
Okay, Roth is going Berg. Man, they've been playing so well. 17-4. The team in there that's interesting is Portsmouth. They buried Ironton by like 30, and then they beat them in overtime. I think Berg and Portsmouth would be a really good matchup. I think South Point, has a really good player. I'm gonna go with Portsmouth. I'm gonna go with Portsmouth in this. We'll see what happens. Eastern 1, East District, the only district in the East District. Malvern, Buckeye Trail, Harrison Central, Union Local, Tusky Valley, Garraway, Sandy Valley, Coshocton, and Martins Ferry. The thing that scares me here, gentlemen, for Malvern is there is a lot of teams in this district that know them. And if they come into the tournament at 22-0, man, that's a big bullseye on your back. Especially with teams like Garraway, Sandy Valley licking their chops. They're well familiar with that team.
I'm licking my chops. I got the 7 seed. I got the Garraway Pirates. A lot of people talk. I mean, if it wasn't for Highland's dominance, I think more people would realize just how great Garraway has been in the playoffs, in basketball and football. They only lost to Malvern by 7 on the road, neutral site. Give me Garraway.
Think about this, Roth. Last year, they could have very easily beat Afrocentric in a semifinal.
They should have.
A couple things didn't go their way, and they could have. And they're a team that when they make the regionals, like they don't get blown out down there. They compete and make it really difficult on you. So I like that pick, TJ. I have a feeling you're loving the Malvern Hornets.
I do, man. I like that team a lot. So that's where I'm going to go. I'm trusting my eyes on this one. And when I watched that Malvern team play in person, I just had a very difficult time imagining them losing a district. So give me the Malvern Hornets.
Yeah, I'm going to go with, well, when the lights come back on, I am going to go with Malvern as well. And the reason I'm going to go with Malvern is I think they may have a little bit of an easier path to the district final, avoiding some of not having to beat all of those teams.
Martins Ferry is a real thorn in my pick.
Yep. All right, so the last Region 11, we got Harvest Prep, Afrocentric, North Union, Fairbanks, Heath, Fredericktown. No surprise here. A lot of the Central District teams running to Southeast Ohio. Even though Afrocentric was a 10 seed, I would be really surprised if they're the 10th best team in Division III in Central Ohio. But where are we going here, fellas?
I went with Harvest Prep.
Yep. Nobody gonna take the crown from them in D3 Central Ohio this year. I think I picked against them last year.
I will say, man, I do think a Harvest Prep Columbus Afrocentric matchup, if it were to happen, would be very interesting. Just because I think Afrocentric has shown us just when they're playing hard and those guys are engaged and Cortez Freeman's leading the way. I mean, they knocked off the purple and white this year. I know it was one of those kind of asterisk type of games to some people, but I think Coach Bates does a phenomenal job to get those guys playing hard. I would not be shocked if Afrocentric found a way out of this district.
TJ, all losses for the purple and white are an asterisk. Something happened, right? Something happened. I'm going to go with Harvest Prep, man. I think that as well. I think, they've got a couple of quality wins here late. You guys will have to remind. I know they beat Buchtel Saturday. And then who was it they beat? Was it Dublin? One of the Dublin teams, I'm pretty sure. Was it Kaufman or Jerome?
You talking about Harvest Prep?
Yeah. I know
Kaufman.
Yeah,
Kaufman.
yeah. So they've got a couple of real nice wins lately. I think they're playing their best basketball right now. So give me Harvest Prep.
That early season win over Wheelersburg is a sneaky good win.
Yeah, it is.
At Shawnee State.
Yeah, it is.
We skipped a district too. The Southeast 2.
Oh, we did. All right, my bad. Southeast 2. You're right. Southeast 2. We've got. Who do I got here? Minford, Proctorville, Fairland, North Adams, Chesapeake, and Ironton. I think this is a really good district.
Very, very good district. I mean, you look at Chesapeake has had a good year.
Yes, they have.
Ironton's got a handful of football players. Sean Terry just committed to Notre Dame. He's a big-time basketball player as well. Fairland got 1,000-point scorer Chase Allen. But I think we're going to get a rematch, North Adams versus Minford. North Adams got him in the playoffs last year. Minford got him in the regular season this year. I'm going to go with Minford to edge it out. But this is a sneaky fun district.
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, I could see at least 4 of these teams winning it. I mean, with a chance to win it.
Yep.
Roth, TJ, who you going with?
I went with Minford as well.
I was able to catch the live stream of that Minford North Adams game the first time around, and it's hard to unsee that. They just absolutely massacred North Adams on the boards. But the thing with North Adams is, if they shoot it well, you're in big trouble. And they just seem to be. I mean, they haven't lost in a long, long time. I am going to take North Adams to beat Minford again, but I would not be surprised if we're talking about Ironton winning this district. I would not be surprised by that at all. Gentlemen, I got to propose. We got one region left. I got a proposal for you. What if we next week's show we do Region 2 and Division 2 and Division 1, because I want to give those quality time, because those are our big boys, those are our heavy hitters.
For sure.
So we can wrap this up after we do this region, and then we focus on those for next week.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Region 12. This is something too. Southwest. Oh, this isn't bad. Southwest 2. Williamsburg, Clearmont, Northeastern, CHCA. And then you got Anna and Shawnee in the bottom.
I went with Preble Shawnee. I think it's a team that's been knocking on the door. Anytime you got a senior and just a flat-out competitor like Mason Shrout, who is far and away the best player in the district, give me Preble Shawnee.
Yep, best player, tons of experience. Preble Shawnee.
Yeah, I was tempted with Anna, but I'll tell you what, the win over Tri-Village this past weekend, they kind of been, they got drilled by Fenwick, which you've seen, and they're a really good team. So, but they did get drilled by them. But I'm going to go with Preble Shawnee as well. I think Mason Shrout, obviously the best player in the district. Give me them as well.
That is a sneaky good district, though. I mean, Valley View got the freshmen. Anna has a solid team. The top CHCA, there's some solid players and teams in that one. Better than the next one.
Yeah, the next one we've got Summit Country Day. We've got Tri-Village, West Liberty Salem, and Waynesville. I mean, to me, this, and I could be wrong, this is a Tri-Village Invitational here.
I went with Tri-Village.
Yeah, so did I.
I'll take them as well. Southwest 4, Carlisle, Miami East, Brookville, Jamestown Greenview, Marymount, and Purcell Marion. This was a tough one for me.
Give me Miami East.
Okay.
I almost went with Marymount. Kind of was going back and forth a little bit. I'm going to trust my gut, trust my eyes. Teams that I've actually gotten a chance to see in recent years. Give me Miami East, Coach Rowe.
I'll spike TJ. I'll take Marymount. Head to head, we're going to get this one. Let's go, Marymount.
All right, I'm gonna go off the deep end here, and I'm gonna go with Carlisle.
Yeah, I like it. I like the districts where nobody's in agreement.
I like it when nobody's in agreement and none of us win it.
And we all lose, yeah.
That's hard though.
Yeah, I'd be curious. We should definitely revisit that before the regional tournament and just see how many, if there were any districts where we were just all way off. I bet there's less than 3.
All right, gentlemen, the final one here, Southwest 3, Indian Lake. This is for Sales, Gamble Montessori, and Cincinnati Country Day.
I went with Indian Lake. I saw them at the Battle at the Berkeley. They were impressive. They can score the ball. Senior Kate Nicole, impressive guard. They got freshman who's pretty good as well. They get up and down the court. They have a chance to run some people out the gym in this district. So I got Indian Lake.
I have Indian Lake as well.
Clean sweep, even though I hesitated with Versailles for a second. But I am going to go clean sweep, Indian Lake. All right, gentlemen, I think we've done enough damage for tonight. We're going to leave them hanging. Division 2, Division 1 next week, guys. Make sure you come back for the big boys.
I think I got some hot takes in Division 1 and Division 2, man. I'm going to be really curious to see where you guys are at, see if you're with me or against me, especially in Division 2. So,
I'm always against you, TJ. You know that.
Yeah.
TJ, the only thing I need you to do next week is just bring your A game. That's it.
I got you.
Well, for Mike Roth, TJ Petros, I'm Kurt Stubbs. Have a great week, everybody.